Hi, welcome to MrVic.com. I'm your host Navjot Singh. Today I'm going to talk about how to get URL parameter values from your URL basically. So this would be something like if we expect to pass some parameter into our URL. Let's say I want to pass a geo and I'm going to say it's UK or it's Ireland. If I'm in Ireland, I'll say IE. So right now we're not actually making any use of this, but in this tutorial what I'm gonna do is we're gonna actually write code to get this. And for example, I am passing in a geo and a size parameter, and that basically kind of returns the value from taking the value from here and then returning it down in the console. So that's the sole purpose. Let's jump into code. So before we jump in, let me show you the tutorial. So in this tutorial, basically I move through the solution, the code, and a little bit of explanation, and I usually keep improving the solution over time, so do visit this tutorial. I'll leave a link to this in the video description below. Let's dig into the code. So from this tutorial, I'll click on edit on Codepen. So what you can do is you can basically go on Codepen and actually edit the code by yourself. Let's actually look at the example, like how the solution is actually outputting. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pass a parameter, let's say name equals Navjot. And if I refresh this page, this should be able to fetch the name and print it. Okay, so I've written this code before, so what I have to do to get the name from there would be var name equal URL dot. So I'm gonna explain each bit, like what each function and etc is. Params dot get name, and now this should be able to give us the name. Oops. This is what I love about coding, like you jump in, you run into errors and you solve it. So it's saying issues with parsing URL parameters, cannot read property get of undefined. Da 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 da. I define the name. Actually, what our code expects is it's expecting both, and let's try to print out the name value as well, for example. And I'll just say and plus name. Does it print the name for us? Clear the console, save, give it a refresh. It's not liking get. Okay, so see here, here I did a little bit of a typo. So search parameters. So I'm not gonna edit this part because I like to keep my videos real. I do not want to kind of give you a content where I do not make any mistakes. So from here you can see we are able to get the URL parameter value. Let's pass in the rest of the parameters to kind of get the rest of the values and make it error free. Let's clear the console and we can say and geo equals, let's say USA for this example, and we can say the size equals whatever, large. Oh, did I save it? Yes. Okay, perfect. That's printing fine for me. I can save that, clear the console and run it again. Perfect. So USA, this is the geo, this is the size, and this is my name. So that's how we kind of got that. Let's dig into the code. The best thing about this example is you can actually go in on Codepen, actually add your own parameter values, add your own parameter, define your own parameters like I did for name, whereas I already had these existing parameters. I could have just showed you that, but we went through the path of adding that and we made mistakes and we learned from them. So what I'm doing here is I'm calling the window.onload, which basically kind of figure out when the page actually loads. It's going to call this anonymous. Please forgive my pronunciation. English is not my language, native language. So we're going to call this function, or it's called function expression. It's not a function definition. So I'm doing a little bit of error handling here, and you can see we're trying to do all this stuff, and if this doesn't happen, we basically print an error. So what I'm saying here is var URL string and window.location.href. What this does is it actually fetches the URL and assigns this to this. So to make the things dynamic, we have done this. So for example, if this could have been like this, Command X, and here we go. So this could have been something like this. We can define URL string, and you can see the solution still works, but the thing is, this is not dynamic. You cannot test it this way. You can test it this way, which is much better. That's why I like the old version, which is window.location.href. We dynamically get the URL and we change it to lowercase to kind of, so in this case, if I would have passed like geo and I define it as geo, it could have broken my things if I wouldn't have done lowercase. So right now it will work fine if we remove lowercase, for example, and we give it a save and refresh. Whoop, did it break? Yes. So you can see the geo part broke. That's why I'm using that lowercase. That kind of solves our problem for now. Depending upon your use case, this may or may not be applicable, but for this use case it works fine. And then what I do is I basically use the URL object and I pass the URL string to it, which is our this. And what we do from there is we define a name variable, which we did together. And what I do is URL dot search params dot get name. Name is this. Whatever you define here is what you got to pass in here. So you can see name, you can see geo, you can see size. Let's take a quick look at search params, what that is. So Mozilla has the best documentation on this. The URL search params interface defines utility methods to work with the query string of a URL, which is awesome because this was not available previously, but now in JavaScript in the latest version, I think ES5, this is available, so which is awesome. So what we can do is we can basically use the utilities present at the URL object level, and that's what we're doing here. So we're saying search params, which is a URL method, which is available to us because we said new URL and we passed in the URL string. And then we say .get name, get geo, .get size. Awesome. And then we basically console it, and that's where our results gets printed. And that's it, guys. It's a very, very simple way of doing things in 2019 and going forward from here, whereas this is not supported on Internet Explorer though. If we look at the compatibility, so I'll actually leave a link to this on the video description and on the tutorial. Actually, I'll leave the link at the tutorial level actually, and you guys can go in and look at it, and you can see the compatibility here and see Internet Explorer is not supported at all for any of the methods, whereas for Chrome on 49 version onwards it's supported for Edge 17 and rest of them, and you can give it a check from there. So going back from there, I'll leave the links here, and thanks again guys, thanks for watching the video, and I really appreciate that. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if this helped you, and please leave your comments so I can improve the content going forward. This is my website, mrwork.com, so do visit it occasionally if you have time. So this is where I post tutorials on technology, mostly JavaScript tutorials and a couple others. Thanks for watching and stay happy.